This is your Monday Momentum. Extended all week. Morning primer from the Mindset and Motivation Monday on KGCI. Real Estate on Air.
Elevate your life. Elevate your business. Welcome to the Elevated Results Podcast.
Welcome to the Elevated Results Podcast. Have you guys ever heard of the imposter syndrome, or are you familiar with it? The imposter syndrome is when you essentially feel like an imposter in your own life, or you feel like an imposter with your own mindset, that you maybe don't feel worthy or that you're good enough, that fear of failure. That's when you're really allowing the ego to be in the driver's seat. So just like we talked about a few weeks ago, we talked about the higher self or your ego. Well, when you let your ego be in the driver's seat, you're really creating complexity, because complexity is an execution killer. If you want to get results, you got to keep things simple. Take one step, keep it simple, one action. And it's when we really start to get in our head and we create all these plans and we think, what if it's not good enough? What if that we start to lose focus on the end result. We start to lose focus on what's really going to drive us to attaining our desired result, which is staying clear on what our outcome is, what is the goal that we're looking to achieve, and keeping it simple, believing in yourself and knowing that you can do it. So even though I had those thoughts today when I was setting up my podcast, I started to think about all of the successful mentors, coaches, or iconic leaders of our time. And I thought, what would they do? Would they hesitate? No, they would do it anyways. They wouldn't allow that to harness them, to stop them. They would use it and just keep going. They would take an action, because when we take an action, we start to create momentum and we start to progress forward. And so when we're progressing forward, we're creating momentum. That's when this strategy will always follow. We don't have to know every single step along the journey of attaining our desired result. We just need to know what is the next step. So if you're thinking about a goal, or if there's something that you want to accomplish in your business, what is it? What is it that you want to accomplish? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to turn into your fruition? What is that end goal? What is the result that you're looking to achieve? And then once you know what it is and you're clear on it, what's one action you can take? Stop making things so complicated and complex and just think, what's one thing that you could do today? What is one action? Because when you focus on just taking one action in the right direction, it's a lot easier to feel like you can accomplish it versus thinking of every single step after that. I think of business as it is like a game, but I also think it's like a marathon. It's like if you're running a marathon. So if you've ever ran a marathon or ran a long race, you probably know the process. And there's many different strategies on how we can accomplish something. But when it comes to running, I'll utilize this is the last half marathon I did, I focused on a strategy. Now, I hadn't ran in a couple years. I had 6 weeks to train, and I left it to the last minute. I didn't train. 10 days before the run, I realized I'd ran once, and I was in probably the worst shape I've ever been in. I had a baby. I hadn't been exercising my normal routine. I could have gave up. I could have thought of every single step of how hard it would have been and everything that could go wrong. But instead, I decided to focus on what the end goal was, and it was just showing up and doing my best. Finishing a half marathon and just doing my best. So the day of, I showed up, and I had a strategy in mind that I told myself, okay, you can run 5 kilometers, then you can walk 1. You can run 5, you can walk 1. So I told myself that mentally to get me there. And once the gun went off and I started running, as soon as I hit the 5K mark, I negotiated with myself. I said, okay, no, you can run to 6. Keep running. And then I'd get to the 6 kilometer mark and I would tell myself, okay, no, you can get to 7. No, you can get to 8. And I did it all the way until I hit the full half marathon. I ran a half marathon without walking, and I hadn't really trained. That is the power of your mindset. That is the power of utilizing tools to harness the power that is within you, within your mindset. Because again, success at anything is 80% our mindset, 20% the strategy. So it's keeping it simple. It's just like a run. You're going to do one step at a time. Keep one foot in front of the other. Know what your outcome is. Know what your goal is. Just like running a marathon, you know exactly clearly what that outcome is. What is that goal you're trying to achieve? What is it that you want to accomplish in your business? And then when you focus on that, you can start to create this strategy in between. But you can use these tools to start to build up the mental strength that you need to accomplish it. And I always think of growth doesn't happen in our comfort zones. We do not grow if we stay comfortable. We grow when we push ourselves and we unleash a piece of us that we didn't know existed within us. We grow. It's uncomfortable. Growth isn't supposed to be comfortable because we're changing, we're evolving, we're pushing ourselves to a new limit. So to do that, you have to be outside of your comfort zone. And so when you really can tap into what growth is all about, you can start to harness the power of your mindset. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Keep it simple. Because if we think about things having to be perfect all the time, we're not even going to want to get started. We can talk ourselves out of it. We can allow that imposter syndrome or that negative self-talk to talk us out of it. So learn how to use the tools to keep it simple, to start taking action towards your goal. And then that's where, again, the momentum will create. And once you start to cultivate momentum, you'll start to cultivate confidence within yourself, and you'll start to really start to make progress. Now, progress is different for everyone. Just like a baby, babies walk and learn how to walk at different times. They learn how to run at different times. We're all unique and different. But when a baby first starts to walk, they don't just immediately know what to do. The first time they try walking, they're not the best at it. They fall. It's through falling where we learn our power and how to do things. It's through those growing pains where we can evolve and grow into the versions of us that we're needed to be. It's not perfection, it's progress. So if you're afraid of doing something because you're afraid you're going to do it wrong, you're creating that complex narrative in your mindset and you're talking yourself out of it. Where if you probably have accomplished something in your life in the past, you probably were really clear on what it is you wanted and you kept it simple. Just like kids, and this is where in society as we grow up and we're influenced by society, by media, by social media, by others around us, we lose the pieces that we had as children. And as kids were clear on what they wanted. If they wanted ice cream, they knew exactly what kind of ice cream they wanted. They knew they wanted a toy. They knew exactly what we wanted. When we were kids, we knew exactly what we wanted before the world told us we didn't. So when you learn from kids, they knew what they wanted and they go and get it. They don't think, oh, I wonder if I ask my mom, what's the process for her to go get me an ice cream? How is she going to go get me an ice cream? How does she have enough money to get me an ice cream? Oh, I wonder how far the store is away. How are we going to get that ice cream? No, a kid just says, I want ice cream. Let's go get ice cream. And then they start to take the actions, right? That's just an example. But if we can learn to keep it simple, we can really start to harness the power of taking action and execution. And again, once you start to take action, you're going to start to build the confidence within yourself. And you're going to start to trust yourself again. Because I know when I first started in this, like after high school and I had gained some weight and then I wanted to get into a routine of working out, but I couldn't get up to go to the gym. I kept talking myself out of it. I'd wake up and then I'd think, oh, I'll just go tomorrow. I'll just do it tomorrow. And I keep pushing it off because I'd let that negative self-talk talk me out of it. Until one day I heard somewhere, and I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard that if you put your gym clothes out on the floor, then when you first wake up, you're going to roll out and you're going to feel them and you're going to feel no excuse. So I did that. Then I had no excuse. Then it was about negotiating with myself to go to the gym. But then as soon as I got to the gym, I started to feel better. And that's the power of tricking your mind, negotiating with yourself, utilizing the tools that are proven to just make progress. Now, because I've done it so many times over and over again, it's second nature to me that I have to go work out first thing in the morning or I don't feel my best. Whatever it is like for you, it's learning the progress. Same within business. If you're starting out in business or you're looking to grow in your business and get better results and make more money, it starts with being uncomfortable. So you're going to have to do something different than you've always done, and you're going to have to take the actions that make you feel uncomfortable. And that can start with negotiating with your mindset, because the first phone call I made as a real estate agent was not a good phone call. I had no idea what I was talking about. But you know what? The more you do it, the more experience you get, the more you start to feel comfortable in those uncomfortable situations because you're growing. And so I want you to really think about a goal or think about something you want to accomplish in your business, but you've been hesitating, you've been pushing it off. I want you to think about what that is. Now, why have you been avoiding it? Why? Have you been making it complicated? Have you been talking yourself out of it? Because you can talk yourself into it too. What is one simple action you can take that's going to move you towards your goal, that's going to push you into progression? And again, we're only in competition with ourselves. So maybe some of you are going to sprint and some of you might crawl. But again, progression is progression. So what's one thing you can do that's going to move you in that direction towards your goal? What's one action? Keep it simple. Don't hesitate and go start to take the action. Go surround yourself with people and a community that's going to inspire you. And this is the power of co-elevation. I had the honor of being a part of the Tony Robbins community where we co-elevated because you're surrounded in a group of people that are going to motivate you, inspire you, and push you to unleash your potential. Denzel Washington says the quote, "If you hang around the barbershop long enough, eventually you're going to get a haircut." And it's true, you are who you surround yourself with. So if you want to elevate your results, surround yourself with people that are going to motivate you and push you. Success leaves clues. Somebody has probably already accomplished what it is that you want to achieve. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just like a recipe, if you go in and type in a recipe, there's a tutorial for everything. There's a YouTube video, there's a Pinterest recipe, and there's several different ways you can get there. There's several different people that have made a recipe and then they still get the same desired result. All you have to do is plug yourself into a simple system and start taking action. Start utilizing the recipe that's proven and take the actions. And just focus on one thing at a time. Because much like running a marathon or running whatever it is, if we start focusing on every single step we have to take in between, it gets really complicated. And it's really easy to get in our head where if we focus on, okay, 1 kilometer at a time, you chunk it down. It's the same way that you accomplish your goals in business or in your personal life. Get clear. Take one step at a time and chunk it down. Now, a few years ago, I don't know if I already shared this, but a few years ago, I was invited by a community event for a fundraiser, and it was where 26 local runners were running for the Lloydminster Health Foundation. And this is where they had an awesome environment. It was set up in a gym where they had a DJ, so they had energy, there was music, and then there was 26 runners that were going to run on a treadmill for 12 hours straight. And I was one of those runners. And before this, I think the furthest I'd went was a half marathon, and I had ran a little bit, but I wasn't a huge runner. So they had 13 runners that were community runners like myself, not serious runners, but had ran a little bit. And then there was 13 runners that had run ultra marathons, had run many, many marathons, and were very seasoned runners. So there we had success leaves clues. We had a mentor. We had a runner who had done it before. They knew what to do. And then we had a community where we were surrounded in a community of people that motivated each other, that pushed each other to get to the same result. We all had the same goal, right? And we were surrounded by a community of people that were going to push us. So we had the environment the day of the event. We had a community that was going to push us. And we had a clear goal of what we were looking to achieve. We were going to run for 12 hours straight on a treadmill. It was very clear. It was specific and it was measurable. And there was an action we could take one step at a time. So I think it was about 2.5 months before the event is when I committed to it. And when I committed to it, it wasn't something that I thought, why would I want to do this? The reason why I wanted to do it is because growth doesn't happen in our comfort zones. And I believe that we have to continually push ourselves outside of our comfort zones to see what we're made of. And so I knew this was going to be extremely uncomfortable, running on a treadmill for 12 hours. I hate treadmills. Running on a treadmill is like running and staring at a wall. There's nothing really to focus on. Running outside, at least you can focus on, okay, if I run to this next spot, I can keep pushing. You can have a lot of mental talk in a positive direction when you're running outside and you're surrounded by nature. There's other things you can connect to mentally and focus on that are going to push you. Where on my experience, a treadmill, I run at a wall and it's really boring, right? It's hard to focus. But this was something that many people didn't think was possible, to run on a treadmill for 12 hours straight. And so here we were a community. We had the environment, we had the goal, we knew what we were doing, and we had a training strategy. So 2.5 months before, they gave us our strategy. Here's how you're going to train. Here's what you're going to do. So for 2.5 months, we followed this strategy. And I know I was supposed to run on a treadmill. I did it twice and I absolutely hated it. I thought I was running for like 3 hours and it was 10 minutes. So I decided I was going to run outside because I knew I could at least train and get myself in a better physical running situation than if I was on a treadmill. So for 2.5 months, we trained, we followed this strategy, we executed it. And then the night before the event, knowing we have to run 12 hours on a treadmill for 12 hours. And when you run on a treadmill, there's jarring, like your joints are jarred, everything hurts. And so the night before, I was nervous. I started thinking, oh my gosh, this is tomorrow, how's this gonna go? I'm running on, it was on the news channel too, so it was gonna be on TV. What if I shit myself? What if something happens? What if I fall off the treadmill? And there went the imposter syndrome. Started doing all this negative self-talk. And then it was, no, you just have to show up and do your best. You have all the ingredients for success. You're set up for success. You've got the community. There's the environment. You've got a clear outcome. You know what you're doing. Just stay focused and just take one step at a time. Just chunk it down and focus on the end result. And so that's what I did. I showed up the next day, so energized. It was honestly electric to feel everyone's energy around us. And it was really inspiring to see people mentally break through barriers. And so my partner and I, we had a strategy. We were going to run 10 kilometers, walk 1. We were going to do that for 12 hours straight so that we could at least keep the endurance and keep going. And they had it set up so if you had to go to the bathroom or something, you could go off and then they had another runner would come in. I managed to keep track of every single kilometer I ran because I wanted to know what I was capable of, right? This is the power of competition, but you're only in competition with yourself. So there's a line of runners, the energy in there, everyone was motivating each other, everybody was pushing each other, there was music, it was awesome. The 12 hours honestly went by pretty quick. But in the last hour, you could see everybody their energy started to drop. But this is the power of community, because when one person's energy started to drop, everybody else started utilizing their energy to uplift each other. That's the power of community, right? Co-elevation, pushing each other. Igniting that potential within each of us to push to personal best. And many of us, that was our personal best. So many people really unleashed their potential and saw what they were truly made of that day. And it was really, really cool to see that it wasn't just like I was breaking through barriers. Everyone around us was breaking through barriers and we were doing it together and we were celebrating together. And it was just honestly a huge accomplishment. But I remember as my partner and I were running and we got to the 10K mark, we thought, just keep going. And we did that all the way through till the end of the 12 hours. We made it over 70 kilometers on a treadmill. And I remember the last hour, it was when that self-talk started to come in. Okay, you've got 1 hour. You've done 11 hours. You can probably slow down. And then I had this little voice inside that reminded me, no, you came here to show yourself what you're truly made of. You can do anything that you set your mind to. Literally anything. And I'm talking to you guys too. You can do anything that you set your mind to if you set your mind to it. So I utilized the tools and strategies that I had to lock in my focus. So I listened to motivation. I put on my YouTube. I listened to David Goggins. The man's a huge inspiration when it comes to doing really uncomfortable things physically. And I started listening to David Goggins. I listened to Tony. I listened to Ed Milet. I listened to anybody that was going to motivate me in that moment. And for the last hour, I pushed myself. I wanted to see what I was capable of. I went all out for what I could. And it was honestly the feeling that I cannot explain when you know that you've given something everything you've got. And there's a source outside of us that pushes you. And so I look at this and it is a reminder of what we're capable of. But it's just like in business. When we push ourselves to the limits, there's a source outside of ourselves that's going to harness that power and push with us. And we just got to step into that space. You got to grow. You got to commit to being uncomfortable and doing things that are going to stretch you and push you to unleash your potential and show you what you're truly capable of. Because it isn't in your comfort zone when you really learn who you are and what you're capable of. It's when you're in a state of discomfort, when you can lean on a source outside of yourself and you can learn how you can harness that power within. Because they say, when you're physically tired, so say if you're working out or you're doing something physical, when you're physically tired and you want to give up, your body's only at 10% of what it's actually capable of. It's your mind that's going to give out first. So if you can start to utilize tools that are proven, and you can start to use these tools to focus and grow your mindset so that it becomes second nature to be mentally strong, you can do anything that you set your mind to. And in business, in goals, personal life, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, you can do it. And so this is why I share this with you. It's because it's the power of self-talk, the power of negotiating with yourself. You can negotiate yourself out of something, but you can negotiate yourself into something. So I want you to think back to the beginning of this, what that goal was that you want to accomplish, what you want to achieve in your business that you've been hesitating on. And I want you to write down one action that you can take, just one action. Maybe you've got personal goals you want to accomplish that you've been avoiding. Maybe you've got business goals that you've been avoiding. Write it out. What is that one action in each of them? And then don't make it complicated. You see the one action you need to take, so go take the action. Surround yourself with people that are going to motivate you. Surround yourself in an environment that's going to foster growth, that's going to match you for who you want to become, not the version of you that you are. Now, when it comes to physical environment, you have two options. If you can change the environment, change it. If you can't change the environment, change your perspective to it. And this is the art of reframing and changing your perspective. So back in 2014 or 2015, when I hit burnout, all I did was work. And I focused on that. All I do is work. I'd wake up every morning and think, oh, I have to go to work. Oh, I have to do this. Oh, I can't do that with my friends because I have to go to work. And then I realized I am so lucky. I'm so lucky that I have a career that I love, that I have so many clients that I get to help. I should be grateful that I get to go to work, not that I have to go to work. I get to go to work. And I reshifted my focus and my perspective to, I am so grateful I get to go to work. I get to go help people today. I get to help them buy and sell homes. This is exciting. I get to help people and live my purpose. So reshift your focus. If you can't change the environment, shift your perspective. How's it happening for you? How's being in the environment that you're in really helping you to grow inside? How can you help someone else? Or how can you maybe change the environment you're in and become the best version of you and inspire everyone else around you? But get in that community that's going to elevate you. Change your environment or change your perspective to it. Get clear on the outcome that you want to accomplish in your life and in your business. And then write down the simple steps you can take, one step. Because once you take that action, then you can say, okay, what's the next thing I need to do? Start to create momentum. You'll start to cultivate certainty within yourself and the confidence and trust within yourself that when you know you set your mind to it, you're going to do it. You're going to execute it and you're going to accomplish it. And start taking the actions to elevate your life and elevate your business. So thank you for co-elevating with me. If you found value in this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe it. And I'll see you at the next one. Go elevate your life. Thank you for co-elevating with us today. If you found value in this, make sure you like and share it with your friends and family. And join our community by pressing subscribe. This is a space where we co-elevate, we'll inspire, motivate you, and push you to unleash your infinite potential and elevate your life and elevate your business with elevated results.